Yes, Chairman Shabazz, what do you recommend that African Americans should be doing in regards to the African continent based on your travels there?
They have to travel. That's what I would say. Number one is to travel and see and experience Africa for yourself. And that's a must, so you can understand it for yourself and experience it and feel it, and it will bring about a greater commitment to Africa. Africa is not perfect. Africa has its challenges, but we all have our challenges, and Africa is ours. So I say to visit is primary. Number two is to support groups that are working in Africa. Support us. Support the December 12th movement. Other churches are doing important missions and giving away items to needy in Africa. Support groups that are in Africa, learn about Africa, and defend Africa, and defend strong leadership in Africa. Defend Mr. Mugabe and what the Zimbabwe ZANU-PF is doing in Africa in terms of land reform. So that's my advice.
Okay, now briefly, you stated that your delegation had attended the anniversary of the Sharpeville massacre, which has been referred to as Human Rights Day by ANC reporters. Please describe your interaction with the survivors of the Sharpeville massacre.
Very touching and very moving. To be with nephews and sisters and brothers of those that was in Sharpeville. I was with some who were actually shot in Sharpeville as children, and it was very moving to be a part of their healing process or their suffering process, and just to be there with them, man, and to understand that struggle and injustice is universal for our people. It's not just something that is taking place in America, it's taking place in Africa also. So I could say I was deeply moved and touched by Sharpeville. Don't go nowhere, Lord.
Now you were criticized, and we don't want to keep you. You were criticized for visiting Zimbabwe because many people, of course, in America refer to President Mugabe as a tyrant. How would you respond to people who said that you visited a tyrant?
I say your mama was a dictator. So sometimes we need people to tell us what to do. Now, factually speaking, it's not a dictatorship, it's an inclusive government. It has an opposition party. It has an election that 73% of the people in the country vote in the election, which is higher than American registered voter turnout. So it's not a democracy. It's really I call it an over-inclusive government because Britain and America run the opposition party. So I think Mr. Mugabe and ZANU-PF need more power, not less. And I hope they drive the MDC out of Zimbabwe and that the sanctions are eased from Zimbabwe and that good trade and good times can come to the people of Zimbabwe. Sanctions are a weapon of mass destruction. So instead of complaining about Mugabe, these people need to be up here taking it to the United States government of America and criticizing their congressmen and senators for oppressing an African nation who fought out of white colonialism. You know, the best way to deal with President Mugabe is to get in there with him, not throw rotten apples from the outside. It's better if we get in on the inside.
Last question. Do you ever feel that there will ever be a joint collaboration between the African Nationalist Congress, or I should say the African National Congress and the Pan-Africanist Congress, or your host?
No, sir. I don't think that'll ever happen, only under duress. And if the ANC is seriously losing power and they have to try to make a concession with someone, because the ANC, this hard-line ANC, not just rank and file. Rank and file people are registered wherever the wind is blowing. But the people that run ANC do not like PAC because the capitalists and those that want benefit out of society is not eager to talk about no land belonging to no people. So these two parties have competing ideologies and fundamentally different ways that they view the struggle. ANC civil rights, PAC nationalist. But all of them are our people. You know, all of them are our people, but that's how it is on that.
Well, we thank you for joining us.
Thank you, dear brother.
We wish you luck.